So, Nick, a lot to unpack here. What's your take?
All right, anyone that's watched the Warriors last year has probably also at some point wanted to have somebody smack Jordan Poole. So there's part of me that is wants
like
to
the
be
young
sympathetic. Listen, maybe it's a little too close to home. He plays and carries himself on the court just like my son did, and which it can be at times exhilarating, and at times you're like, you got to be kidding me, man. It's just like you got to be.
Fox
You've
Sports
been
One employee.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, co-host of What's Right with Nick Wright. It's like really you haven't played in 18 minutes. You came in, you hit one shot, and you are preening around the court. Calm down. So I would like to be on Draymond's side, but there's a few red lines in life, and one of them is if you're not a boxer or a football player, can't hit the coworkers. And I understand that for some folks, not that I work with any of them, I guess we'll find out, but for some folks there's another rule, which is if Michael Jordan did it, it's cool. And so I know that Michael Jordan once upon a time punched a guy who I actually think that guy now coaches the Warriors. And so it's like, well, if Jordan did it, it must be a part of team building. But a couple things. One is, no, it's not. The other is Draymond's not Jordan. Steph's Jordan in this instance. And Draymond has a history of not being able to control his own anger and temper, and it costing them. Some would argue it cost them the 2016 finals. I don't believe that, but I know a lot of people do, that they would have won if he doesn't get suspended. Yeah. He almost fought Kerr in the locker room once. It almost broke that relationship up. Some think it's why the final straw between he and Durant. He hit the college kid at Michigan State a few years ago, and now he's hitting teammates. And we can't say it's nothing because the Warriors are going to suspend him or discipline him in some way, shape, or form for this. Luckily, Draymond is not just a basketball player. He is a member of new media, and just like Andre Iguodala rushed to Twitter to talk about this, let's go to Draymond's Twitter feed and see, has he apologized? Wait. Okay, so that's
nice.
just a perfect storm of hate for me. So that's a Draymond. So that's the most recent Draymond tweet. All right, scroll down. Maybe he's tweeted something since then. Give me. Oh wait, this is Cam Hayward saying he wants to box Draymond Green a few weeks ago. I'll do all the talking. I'm not getting in anyone's boxing ring. No, sir. Unless that person's 6 inches shorter than you and 80 pounds lighter than Jordan Poole, in which case you might get smacked in the face. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, Wildes, you shouldn't hit the coworker.
This is a big deal?
Okay.
Of course it's a big deal. The Warriors are telling us it's a big deal.
Okay.
They're punishing him for it.
All right, so here's why I don't think it's a big deal. One, and I should have referenced it in the initial read, the video that we showed of Jordan Poole shooting around, that was after practice. That was after the big fight or during
Color
practice.
me shocked. Draymond Green, not actually the most effective fighter. Just like
but that has to weigh in on
doesn't
it.
pack a big punch.
Look, if I get punched in the face and like, all right, you're going to rebound for me and I get some shots off, it wasn't that big of a deal. And also, we would be remiss not to readdress the Jordan storytelling.
This was not my doing, Nick. This was all
This
Wildes.
is obvious. It's the most famous practice punch in NBA history. And Steve Kerr talked about it and said it brought them closer together. This is an interview from 2 years ago with Ernie. Take a listen.
On every team that I played on, late 80s, early 90s, there were a few practice fights. There was just a lot of competition and things would get out of hand. And then it just, it wasn't really a huge deal in the grand scheme of things. But for me in that case, Michael was definitely testing me and I responded, and I feel like I kind of passed the test and he trusted me more afterwards.
So there's sort of two paths to go down here, Brew, and you tell me which one you're at.
So it's a good thing.
I'm being serious. The one path is if they suspend Draymond, it's Steve Kerr is being hypocritical because he was brought closer to Michael Jordan, and this used to always happen. So there's that path you could go down. Or that the punch was something else, and it deserves some sort of repercussions. I don't know which path it is. I wasn't there, obviously, but I thought it was an interesting tangential experience that Steve Kerr had with the GOAT.
I think they'll go the path of punishing Draymond. Whether suspension would probably be more than a fine.
How do you think that's going to sit with him?
Bad.
I think it'll be fine. Look, I was told by someone what they said what happened. Draymond, they're scrimmaging, and Draymond's talking trash, as he always does, consistently talking trash. And Jordan Poole, who is arrogant, who is arrogant. But I've heard it from people up there. He's arrogant the way he carries himself.
Well, yeah.
And that's fine.
I've heard it from my
They're
eyeballs.
both going at it talking trash.
Yeah.
And Draymond calls him soft. And they square up. And Jordan's thinking it's still just trash. And they're kind of pushing. And Draymond just hauls off and punching him. And I heard it was a good shot. Now, obviously, it didn't hurt Jordan Poole. Like you said, he's shooting, he's laughing afterwards. Okay. But it wasn't just like, you graze him or you miss. Right. And that's why they have to discipline him, because it was a good shot that apparently landed cleanly. And then everybody, kept them apart. I don't think it's a big deal, though, Nick. You mentioned Michael Jordan. Isaiah Thomas punched out Bill Laimbeer. Magic Johnson told me himself about fights.
Definitely deserved it.
Can we get one in the last decade,
though?
Because
it's not a big deal. If you play team sport, I almost got in fights with guys in practice. No, with guys in practice, and that night, we're sitting there having a beer. The same guy I almost had a fight with. It happens. Now, if Jordan, I think Draymond will be fine. Draymond was able to move on from Kevin Durant, who he's good friends with again. He's able to move on from LeBron, who obviously he went at LeBron in those finals. LeBron told me himself, Draymond called him something you should never call another man. And they're fine.
Yep.
This will be fine unless Jordan Poole were to have so much pride that he can't get over a teammate punching him. But he didn't look like he had too much pride when he's shooting those jumpers and laughing and kidding around.
It was about more than trash talking, and it was about the pie is only going to be so big.
No way.
Wait. Hold on a second. You don't think a bubbling part of this is that Jordan Poole's going to get paid? Bruce, most valuable player on the Warriors other than Steph, Andrew Wiggins, is in line to get paid. And Draymond Green, is in line to have to renegotiate a deal with Colin at the Volume to see if he's going to get paid again. Because, you don't think a piece of this is Draymond hasn't gotten the contract extension that he would like? You don't think there is an element?
And you think that's why he went specifically after Poole?
Well, I don't know. Wasn't the original reporting that Jordan...
Poole should get paid.
And that he's talking like he's going to. The idea that... Two things. One is the idea that this is nothing. When...
A team fight has to...
If all of our examples come from the standard definition era, then we must at least acknowledge that it's rare.
Sure.
That... If the story was Drew Holiday knocked out Dante DiVincenzo when he was on the team, it could be a problem for them. If the story was that any of these champions, right now the Warriors are the good vibes crew, right? They're damn near perfect approval rating, coming off a championship. Everybody loves Clay. Steph's on the cover of everything. Draymond's, the head of the new media cabal, all of it. And then he hauls off and hits a kid on his team.
But this is always gone. Whether he threw a punch, you said it yourself. You just gave a litany of issues that they played through and won championships through.
Yes, but
even when he went at Durant, that season they were going to win another championship had Durant not gotten hurt.
Yes, but then he left, and in 2016 he got suspended, and we have seen the idea. I guess my point is twofold. One is it is further evidence that even as Draymond gets older, and should be wiser, and should learn from his previous mistakes, that there is still that hot button temper.
Agreed. Absolutely.
That's the first point. The second point is, and I hate to belabor it, but if our best example of this being fine is from 25 years ago, involving Michael Jordan, who did a lot of things
fights
that Okay, so let's talk about him. What
you don't think there's been a fight?
I know that Kobe punched Samaki Walker on the team plane over a $100 debt. I know Duncan's teams, I don't remember a lot of fights. I know LeBron's teams, JR's threw the bowl of soup at my guy Damon Jones. I remember that. We can't act like basketball's football, and we can't act like the 2020s or the 80s. Teammates punching teammates. You know how I know it's rare? Because Draymond's getting in trouble for it. Because he's getting sent home and potentially suspended for it. To act
big deal. What is this going to do? It's going to derail them?
No, I don't know what it's going to do.
Draymond Green should play better this year because he's smart. You can say all this and that about him. He's smart, and he understands I'm in a contract year.
Yeah.
Whether the Warriors pay me or somebody else, I have the ball to get paid. So I think he will. I think he will.
All right, we're going to leave that here. On a serious note, I think none of us condone punching. but throwing bowls of soup is a pretty good way to solve it. Like, if you're going to do something.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.